All right. So, right, my good evening, everyone. My topic for my small scale research is um, are the students of the EAL Level 2 and Level 3 award in the electrical installation equipped for employment in the electrical installation industry? Right. So, um, right, my introduction statement to that is that students who have successfully completed EAL Level 2 and 3 awards in electrical installation gain valuable knowledge and skill relevant to the electrical industries. And also looking at the qualification that it provides, a solid foundation in terms of the electrical principles, wiring regulations, and particular installation work. There's also an award, of course, award that equips students with essential knowledge and competencies, readiness for employment in the electrical industry. Um, Also look at the installation industry, also depend on factors like regulations, additional certificates, and practical experience. All right, so that was my um, introduction statement to that. Rationale. Looking at the rationale, um, students who complete EAL level 2 and 3 again awards in electrical installation gain strong foundation in electrical principles, regulations, and practical skills. Um, the qualifications provide valuable knowledge and enhance, of course, employability and readiness for employment in this industry. With that being said, there are still a few challenges, of course, that this industry faces, even with the best of tutoring and the information shared at these levels. Right. Well, I move on to my hypothesis, and I just probably do one or two that is presented there. Students who have completed EAL 2 and 3 awards in electrical installation are likely to be prepared for employment in the electrical industry, as these qualifications provide a solid foundation of knowledge and practical skills. Also, can be mentioned in this hypothesis, the actual readiness for employment may be influenced by additional factors such as local regulations, the competitiveness of the job market, and the extent to which graduates pursue further certification gain practical experience. So pretty much there's always an ongoing learning experience. All right. Looking at my secondary research, I've highlighted three notable, of course, writers and people who have spent time looking at the program, looking at the system. I particularly want to highlight Wolf of 2011, and he gave a review of vocational education. Wolf makes some important statement as it relates to the vocational training, of course, and that falls within, we talk about vocational training, it falls within the category, of course, of apprenticeship and the whole industry training. So Wolf suggests that the government need to make a huge drive towards increasing workplace opportunities in the form of apprentices in the electrical industry. Apprentices are very popular route, which with incentive for employers and valuable experience to to be gained to use in the industry. All right, so that was my share my secondary research based on that. Right, so the research design method. My target audience were a few students, but majority tutors who have worked over 20 years in this field and who spend time training in institution. My sample was about 9 participants. The survey was sort of mixed method, and it majority was qualitative, and in a bit I will emphasize that the qualitative data to use here has more weight due to the factor that is presented. I use open-ended questions, and of course, as I said before, that it measures on the qualitative data from a thematic analysis, which I will share the process that I work through on that. Um, we have ethical consideration. Honestly speaking, I chose apprentices who were close in their 30s, which did not really require any parental consent, all right, and had some voluntary participation, interviews, and so on, all right. Confidential consent was, they were confidential, and I did state that those requests I sent out, they had a right to withdraw at any time, including or after the survey, all right. So my thematic analysis follows these questions that response were given to. So I'll get to them, right? So from what you're seeing there were the questions, question rather, number one that was asked for the level 2 and 3 full-time technical 8202, which is a parallel calls as it relates to the same sort of industry training. And the question was, 8202, is it much better than the current 5357 apprenticeship framework? Right? And I will move to the responses that were given. There are common themes that were shared as the questions were looked at. Right? Right. So based on what was highlighted, right? They are they have mentioned that there are some out of date things, and these were common in the survey, as you have seen here. Um, Out of date, having had experience of teaching apprentices as well as college student, it's clear that a lot of content in 265 course was outdated. So outdated curriculum information was highlighted, of course, in yellow. Um, and of course, we have again theme, which is highlighted in gray. Curriculum provides some benefit to student. And highlighted as green, we look at employers don't fully understand the qualification. And of course, in purple, we have students are not always aware of skill gap. Now, there's a bit of correlation between the outdating of information and also curriculum, as is highlighted in light blue, which is not aligned to the actual demand of electrical installation. So we have quite a bit information that is shared concerning this, and also relevant to this thematic analysis was an interview I conducted, which shares similar outputs as it regards to um, this industry that suffers these lack, right? So I'll move on. Findings, right? So the ongoing challenge of meeting industry needs is a constant challenge. Why? Because the technology that are used in the classrooms are not meeting the standards that are used in the electrical industry. So there's always a gap where the need that needs to be addressed is not fully met by the training institutions. As I speak, we can look at the technology of the time. We talk about windmill, technology, solar technology, and these are not really incorporated in the training that is given in the classroom setting, so as to prepare these students to for the world of work. So we talk about vocational education is the way forward, and of course we allude to that from what Wolf said. It's always the way forward. It also says that, dictating that vocational training actually sets up society. It moves society. It grows economic stability and so on. Right, mastering the curriculum to meet the industry needs. So that's again that we have to put in place. And of course, this will overlap in my recommendations, because if we're going to move forward, we have got to put things in place where these systems do work to bring about the change that we desire in these industries. So misplaced priority in the training, as we have seen it, where outdating of information, curriculum activities, and so on. So these really need to be addressed, right? Um, Before I look at the conclusion, I need to reiterate the point of findings as it relates to what is happening. I do strongly recommend that there's a strong collaboration between what is happening in the classroom and what is happening in industry. And I think one other thing I would suggest, if I should make a thesis on this, I would suggest that we need to bring those people who are in the work directly in industries like supervisors and so on. We need to bring them and engage them to be a part of our lesson structure, our delivery. We do suffer a lack of equipment, um, and I think there's a bit of politics sometimes that is played in our college settings, because I think the emphasis sometimes is about saving cost rather than providing the necessary tools and equipment in order to bring about the best training and the best quality of education vocationally. All right. So in my conclusion, I would say it has been a resounding concern to address outdated curriculum. This was highlighted in the thematic analysis, as we have looked on earlier, and on several other responses. The same sentiments were echoed, and so on. So meeting the needs of electrical and construction industry through the apprenticeship program and other training bodies is a big challenge, right? So there's much to be done about that as we move forward. There's a lack of appropriate training material, as I said earlier, and resources used are not current. And this is posing a big problem as we look at recommendations and so on. So there are non-essential equipment that does not reflect industry standard. Government policy now see a gap which poses the need for introduction of new T-level program. Of course, and again, this program is putting in place and is enforced by government. And as we learn about the neoliberalism policies, which is strongly manipulated this vocational training. The government is now withdrawing funds um, for other level 3 qualification like the city and guilds and EAL and so on. So they are withdrawing those funds, and they are pushing their funds to what they think the T level technical level training, what they think might work. All right. So just final two lines of conclusion. When needs of those in training cannot be met, it will affect their performance in their workplace, whether it be in construction or industry. This is really can be a bit frustrating for tutors lecturers who know what the standards should be and are not able to deliver those standards, it can be very frustrating. So we're taking this challenge to impose a change, that will really prepare our learners, or trainers, or apprentices, those who will be more effectively trained for the job world, the job market. All right, and my references, as was alluded to earlier, Ferns and Noche and Wolf, of course, was an outstanding figure in this vocational arena. Thank you for listening, and that's my end of my presentation.
Excellent. Well done, Wayne. Any? Can we take maybe one question from anybody? Right. I'm going to click stop recording then. Well done, Wayne.
Thank you.